Yeah.
In fact, in Yeshiva and in my Yeshiva, right, because you put on tefillin every morning, right? So the longer during the day, because you take a tefillin, the longer during the day that the marks show up, that means the more pious, quote unquote, you are, right? Because you really tied it tight.
That's so
right?
kinky.
So it's, right.
What did Regina Spektor say this morning?
We're talking about that. We're talking about how, what it is to sort of live. Because I said to her, like, I've never woken up in my whole adult life without a pain.
Yes.
There's always a pain.
When did the pain start? What age?
It's funny. That's exactly what she asked. It started.
Me and Regina.
Right. Exactly. It started. It started when I was, I think, 18, 19 maybe. I was in the military.
That's young.
And I was shot at and stuff. So but it's not that pain specifically but my entire life, on my best day, there's a pain. And I have this thing, I mean, now I'm going to be a Jew. There's a thing that's happening in my feet and the doctors don't know what it is. And so we're talking about, like, you should go to my helo there. Like, right, there was a whole conversation. That was a whole conversation.
I have a thing happening with my feet.
Exactly.
What do you do? I'm going to PT tomorrow.
I don't know. I don't
know. I've tried PT. It doesn't work.
But that's...
Do you do the exercises, though?
Mostly.
Exactly. It's right.
If I do it 80% of the time, it should somewhat work.
Well,
that's fair.
I don't know. There's some aspects that sort of, as much as I don't believe in general, some aspects are very binary, right? Like sort of like you do or you don't, right? You're pregnant or you're not. You're alive or you're dead, right? Those are
binary. I guess those two things are binary.
Sort of like, right? Sort
but
of like,
PT is the binary thing.
Because I feel you either do your exercises or you don't.
No, you can do them 50%.
There's a spectrum, and how
there's totally a spectrum of PT.
Not rabbinical for you to be like, you should sacrifice doing anything in the name of perfection.
But that's the thing. I don't really see this perfection. It's sort of like
you're doing it or you're not.
Right. It's like so. Right. Look, one of my big things in general in society is sort of that I think we've let go, or at least we've lost our ability to really have the value of duty. Right. This is what you do. Right, you have certain duties, discipline and duties and stuff like
Jewish
that.
Discipline,
not just Jewish in general.
I know,
and
I feel like that's a Jewish thing.
And I think
so different,
discipline and duty.
I mean, it's like there's a reason. You have an obligation. You have a responsibility.
Exactly. So like,
to someone or something.
But I feel like you need to have the discipline in order to do the duty. In this case, it's the physical therapy exercises.
There you go.
Right.
But again, it's like med compliance, right? There's a lot of people who like go to the doctor, they'll get a medicine, and they'll like stop taking it, and then they'll go back to the doctor and like, do you take the medicine? It's like, no. And they're like, well, then what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like, right, it's like, right, sort of like, I don't feel so well. Are you doing your exercises? No. Then shut up.
Okay, and
yes,
Iggy, baby.
Yes.
It's like, it's so much more complex than this, because you're ignoring big parts of the story, which are like, sometimes like a physical therapist doesn't understand that like what they're asking of you is difficult to fit into your life, and it should be part of their job to help you figure out how to fit these exercises into your life, when you do them, where you do them.
100%.
And like with non-compliance on medication, it's like, what about the side effects that you didn't discuss enough, and then you get scared off, and you have all this messaging from the global media that medications could be enormously
giving you
harmful.
autism.
Right. So
it's always
that explains a lot.
Because they actually got the autism.
But
oh wait, welcome to Yenta, everybody. The
Hello.
podcast that's sometimes about comedy, sometimes about Judaism, and always about gossip. I'm Raye Schiller.
I'm Antonia Lassar.
And today on the podcast, we have the one, the only, the incredible Rabbi Iggy.
Hello.
Rabbi Iggy, famous Talmudic expert. These are all your credits.
Sure.
Talmudic expert. Tatted gay rabbi.
Yes.
Cool rabbi.
Sure.
And the biggest credit is rabbi at my wedding.
That's right.
That's true. And like also you are like legitimately a version of a celebrity rabbi.
Yes.
And so
Sinners Shabbat.
Sinners Shabbat. That's right.
You founded, is it House of Tshuva?
Beit T'shuvah.
And now
No,
you
I did
work
not.
At Beit T'shuvah?
So I work at Beit T'shuvah. I did not found Beit T'shuvah. That's way before me. But I did found Teshuva Center in New York.
Teshuva Center.
And I run around a pretty amazing circle of people and sort of famous Jews and stuff. It's really.
That's exactly what a celebrity represents.
I'm very lucky. No, I mean, this is a serious. On a serious note, I am very, 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 very lucky because I'm sure we'll get into it. But I never imagined this good life. I really never did.
Yeah.
I'm a white Belgian boy who goes up in a very traditional, right? We called it Orthodox, but religious family in Belgium. Grandparents are Holocaust survivors, right? So like in the diamond business, sort of completely lost, gay, did not really know it at the time, right? So like the fact that I have the life that I have is nobody's more amazed by it than me. I'm like flabbergasted by this. I feel very, very lucky. When we talk about real gratitude, like for everything I've gone through, and I've gone through enormous amounts of trauma because that family was not perfect. My family.
With the Holocaust survivor
the
family.
Holocaust survivor family.
They had problems.
The Orthodox family, the sort of traditional Belgian family. No.
Yeah. Can you tell us about like the ultra Orthodox? Give us like the scoop of like Yeshiva ultra Orthodox life, because I hear there's a lot of gay shit happening in there.
And be explicit.
Yeah.
Be as explicit.
It's like heated rivalry.
Exactly. You want heated rivalry explicit.
I want heated rivalry, but
That's
for
right.
Orthodox gay men in Yeshiva.
And was this happening in Belgium or in Israel?
Both, but mostly in Israel. But at that point, but yeah. Like the heated rivalry element over there is sort of that, right? The showers are mostly communal.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great asses. Like just saying, sort of like, right?
Wow, that's a literal, that's a scene.
Yeah, it is a scene. And it's very interesting because the showers
That's shocking
are kind of
that the
round
showers are
down
communal.
and right, there's no shower curtains really. And also all the dormitory, there's no locks on the doors.
Right.
For good and bad reasons. But it really is a very open communal life. So there's a lot of that kind of like locker room vibe
But no
that can
actual
happen.
activity.
Not me. It's funny.
Yeah.
I was not that kid.
Right.
Because I'm so butch.
So
but like,
butch.
but I was not that kid. It wasn't so much around me. There's a lot more around in sort of different aspects of my yeshiva and other yeshivas. But no.
Okay. What was did you have like a moment where you were like, I want to leave Orthodoxy, or was it a gradual?
It was a gradual.
It
was very gradual. I'm still leaving Orthodoxy.
Yeah.
You know?
Really?
Yeah.
In a way, I am.
What does that look like?
There's certain things I can't let go of. I
love this.
Right? Some things I can't let go of. I can't let go of Kiddush. I can't let go of Avdallah. I can't let go of certain prayers. I can't let go, prayer in the morning, tefillins. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you have to let go of them? Like, do you want to let go of these things?
Some I really do. I would love to if I could, but I don't know if it's ingrained or trauma, whatever you want to call it. But like,
What do you want to let go of?
I wish I could let go of all of it.
Really?
Right?
Why?
And cause start from scratch, like sort of like, but it's so ingrained in me. Saying brachas over certain food, saying brachas over water, bracha when I go to the bathroom. There's certain things I'm like,
I love the bathroom
like
bracha.
what are you doing?
share that song.
Right, exactly.
The
Like there's certain
bathroom, the
parts of it.
post-bathroom blessing.
Right.
I think that it's amazing. Thank you that I can use the bathroom.
Thanks for holding.
It's an
Thanks for
amazing
holes.
blessing.
Yeah.
Things to hold it open.
I wanna get those signs. Yeah.
But and again, they're amazing lessons, and I talk about them all day long. And we can talk about it as points of awareness. You can talk about the Zen. You can talk about there's a million ways I can, and I do give meaning to it that's modern and interesting to me.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when it's transgressive, right? There's a lot of transgressiveness in my life, right? But there's certain sometimes where the little yeshiva boy just takes over, and that's what.
Can I say when it kind of,
for example, I don't know if you like for example, if I see books that are in the wrong order, right? You know this, right?
The holy
Like, right?
books. They
The
have
holy
to
books,
be,
right?
yeah.
Like if
I see a bencher upside down,
that's
I'm
right.
like, no.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
If the Siddur is
If it's on the
under
wrong- if it's
like
on the wrong
Emily
side.
Dickens, no. I have to put it up. I have to straighten them up. Like
I don't
right,
know
putting
the order of books.
putting a Siddur on the ground. Like, no,
a
don't do
siddur,
that.
Siddur
a
on the
holy
ground,
book.
I know.
A holy book has to be at
On
the
top.
top. Like you can't put a secular book on top of a holy book.
Okay.
You can't put a holy book upside down.
That's right.
And yeah, it's
Like
funny.
if I have a bookmark in a Tanakh, that bookmark can't now go to Amos Sedaris.
That I've never heard. The bookmark?
Ma'alim b'kodesh v'lo moridim. Like everything that touches holiness goes up but never down. So I wait because like Iggy, it's stupid, it's silly, it's a bookmark. It has no significance.
I love
you
that.
need another bookmark. No. But that's that bookmark. Like sort of like
Yes.
I really have
Okay,
that.
can-
Wait,
yeah, what is yours?
Because I like and okay.
this is the least interesting about me. Like,
No, this is incredible. What? Well, okay, I'll get to something more interesting,
No,
which is
yeah.
your Sinners Shabbat.
Yes.
Because to me, and I think part of the well, tell people what Sinners Shabbat is.
Sinners Shabbat is a Shabbat that's sort of created by shout out Tova and
Yes,
her brother,
Chef Tova.
right? Chef Tova,
Which I really want her on the pod.
Oh, you should.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
amazing. Chef Tova and her brother, who created this amazing Sinners Shabbat, where it's now it's sort of branched out. There's a few other things, but it's a Friday night Shabbat. It was held for a while at a sex club.
Yeah.
The green room for the rabbi and performance is like there's like a huge king size bed in it and a sauna. It's crazy.
Incredible.
But
And it's like burlesque.
It's burlesque
And everyone
and-
comes in like kinky.
in some kinky, some
clothing,
things. That's right.
like-
And there's like a man and a woman laying down, and you can eat challah off them, and it's like thing. But the
So to me, that's where my Orthodox training comes in. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Too much.
This is so much.
That's right.
But I want to get over it.
it's
But it's like how do you handle the Orthodox little boy doesn't come out with Sinners Shabbat?
so he does because then they want me, right, and I do the candle blessings and the kiddush
Yeah.
and I say a few words, right. There is a religious aspect to it that is not divorced from, we'll call it the kink, right? There is, because religiosity is a kind of kink, right?
Yes.
Religiosity is a kind of something that turns you on, right? It's
Like steamy,
that's
horny.
right. That's
I can't.
but it is, right? There is, especially with Shabbat, like right. There's a certain sort of like separateness, right? There's sort of like tearing the challah.
Yes.
There is right
You're
the double
marking
mitzvah.
The difference between normalcy and what you're doing.
That's right. So that's the exact point. Every time in religious life, right? Not just orthodoxy, but that line of transgression and holiness, right? When you are moving from one space to another, from holy to profane, those are moments that are incredibly spiritual. And by spiritual, it means that sort of you're having a tension between two forces, sometimes masculine and feminine, sometimes divine, right, human, sometimes secular things. And that's where kink is,
Yeah.
right? In that transgressive line of like, it feels good, but I know it's not the norm.
But
right?
when you're in yeshiva boy land, you're not like transgressing. You're not into it because you feel like you're transgressing.
Sometimes you are, but depends on what it is, right?
I feel like it's the opposite. You're like,
Sometimes
no,
you
we
are.
can't.
You're not into the
Religion.
religiosity.
Yeah.
Well, because spirituality, so we often have religiosity or religion and spirituality together, but they have a Venn diagram in between, but they're not the same. They're slightly separate. And spirituality is a lot more lofty and interesting and sort of like soul, and religiosity is more a discipline, right? Sort of like this
discipline.
dominatrix element to it.
Yes.
You can't do this and you can't do that. Say yes, say amen, right? I'm God. Like, right?
I like that.
Each other.
That's right. And they constantly touch each other.
But yeah,
I know.
How do they touch each other?
Yeah, like very
More.
skillfully.
And I feel like there's a level of like, I love what you say about kink, that I think of kink as basically the same thing as like kiddush, that it's like you're drawing, there's a line between normal and not normal. And not normal is where kink lies.
Yeah,
and everyone's version of kink is so different because everyone's version of what normal is so different. And
divergent.
Yeah, you're right. Normalized. and in like very religious environments, think about the guys who show off by being even more religious than everybody else.
Oh.
They're getting off on that.
I'm not going to drink that milk. That milk is not kosher enough for me. That's a level of them drawing another line.
Oh, that's the Venn diagram of the hipster and the Orthodox, right? So like even more,
they're really obsessed about their milks.
The milks or the thing or the kind of hat or whatever. Yeah. In fact, in yeshiva and in my yeshiva, right, because you put on tefillin every morning, right? So the more the longer during the day, because you take a tefillin, the longer during the day that the marks show up. That means the more pious, quote unquote, you are, right? Because you really tied it tight.
That's so kinky.
So it's, right. And the leather and the thing. Like, no, there's a lot. I mean, and I know some people are like, oh my God, Iggy, just like enough. But like, but there is an element of it, this sort of that is, and again, I think it's normal. I actually don't think it's that kinky. Ironically, I think it is normal within a lot of the sort of like OCD-ness, religiosity of all that, right? And I think that's always been very interesting to me. So in that sense, again, Sinners Shabbat, I just love that space. And I'll say something that's a little more serious. I believe that Judaism is a religion in general. I think the constant move that the Talmud has for us, Halacha has for us, if you really study the deep into the actual theology and the thought, it is 100% nerd. Judaism is a religion of tensions. It's constant tensions. That's where you find meaning. Contradictions, right? You have to eat the best meal on Shabbat, but you can't cook, right? Yeah. So right, there's all these constant moments where I'll put your intention of one another, and then you'll make meaning out of it. And I think that's really what it is. And those are just another moments, which is why I was so drawn to Sinners Shabbat and other Shabbats like it. So like Raye also did, like Hot Shabbat, like all these spaces where people think perhaps there isn't a space for religiosity, and then somebody like me can come in and say, like, actually, I'm gonna inject some spirit into this.
I also think it's like New York, just Jews being like, I went to House of Yes.
Yes.
Like also like a House of Yes.
It's like no.
House of Yes. I went to like a Purim party there.
I'm House of Maybe.
House of fuck yeah.
Exactly.
Which is kind of what it is.
I'm House of. I haven't seen it yet, but it's actually right at the top of my list.
Right. Yeah, it's right. It's there's the New York yes and there's California yes, right? Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, maybe no, right? You know how like Californians say yes in a different way,
way? But like actually,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely get to that soon. It's on. I'm gonna text you later.
Yes. House of yes.
Let's get coffee sometime.
That's right.
House of let's get coffee sometime. They had this like they were doing. It was like also like a kind of Sinners Shabbat energy, and there was a rabbi reading the Megillah at Purim at this club, and I was just like, this is fucking insane.
Megillah is a great example, right? It's a super
the Purim Megillah, the Purim story for the listeners.
Right, for them. Google it. It's an amazing story and things, and we were saved and everything. It's so like religious, but God doesn't appear in it once.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah. That's a biggie.
And
because God wasn't there. God was there, but he was unseen, but God was there.
God,
But everyone knows God was there, but you didn't see him.
The point about the New York Jews also, like, I think all of this is like looking at what feels normal and what doesn't feel normal.
Yeah.
And like Jews are constantly trying to find something that feels a little unnormal because that's where we feel that like connection. And like Reform Jews get so high on just lighting a Shabbos candle because we're like, who does this? This is so crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
I never do this. And then like Jews in New York get so high on like, yes, like Shabbat at a sex club because we get Shabbat all the time. It's normal. So throw it in a sex club. That gives us the tension that we need to have the spiritual connection.
Right. Look, a lot of people, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, the thing that we all seek, right, is to be seen, connection, right, sort of to feel and to have a sensation that somehow, right, what I say a lot in my own congregation, right, I almost every sermon sort of say, like, why fit in when you can belong, right? Sort of like that sense of belonging, which is what we really all seek. And that is elusive for a lot of people. And I think sort of those spaces, New York, LA, all these things, that's what we all trying to like, right? Can I belong here? Can I feel here that I can bring my whole self? And that's the real part of spirituality. That's the real part of religion, to feel you belong.
Okay.
What if it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was wondering because before we started recording, we were touching on the cringe of
Yes.
Judaism.
Yes. That's exactly where I was gonna go.
Because that gets in the way for so many people, both in leadership and just in joining a congregation. People walk in and they're like, these tunes are so cringe.
Yeah.
Or they're lifting their hands and that's Christian and that's so cringe. Or
They're
like
singing too excitedly.
Exactly, they're singing too excitedly. Or the rabbi is asking people to sing and that's so cringe. Or they're not singing enough and that's cringe. And like, how do you deal with the cringe? And what are the things that you find cringe?
But he's so cool because he's like a cool rabbi, so he doesn't have cringe.
Immune to cringe.
No one's immune to cringe.
Yeah.
No, if you ask my children, I'm the most cringe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, right? The most. So it's funny because yes, Judaism, all religion, all participation is sort of like this sort of levels of cringe of like, ugh. But cringe is the thing that we say to ourselves or we verbalize when I feel that we want to belong, but we don't know how, right? That we sort of like I wish I could just like sing like that and look like an idiot, but I don't because I'm too much in my head, right? Or like why are they doing it? Because the rabbi did. Or like, why are they so happy, right? And I'm not happy, right? And part of me really welcomes that because it means sort of that there is a part of you that is aware in that moment that you feel different than what you think the crowd is going through. It is a moment of awareness. Then you ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want intellectual superiority? Do you want to feel that cringe?
Yeah.
What happens if you just join, right? What happens if you just sing along or do the thing, right? And sometimes you might feel like, not for me. There's a million things that I'm not for me. But in that moment, like if we stop and think, okay, I have a chance now. I have a choice.
Right. But I love what you said about intellectual superiority because that's all it is. It's like it's intellectual superiority, which is ego.
Yeah.
Like it's just all ego and like calling something cringe is like a way to just be like, I'm better.
That's right.
Which is the best feeling in
the entire world.
Look, it's better than
But
that.
it separates you,
But
right?
yes, talk about separating.
What are the moments that you find yourselves thinking this is cringe? Because I feel like that's a good learning experience. Because here we are preaching about how bad it is, but I know that all of us...
I actually don't. Well, this came up because Jay and I were fighting about this past Shabbat where like I was being cringe about like doing the prayers and singing. I'm so cringe about the singing. I'm like, you're with me or you're not. Like, it's so fun. It's so beautiful.
I'm 100% with you. I think they're all cringe for not wanting to
exactly.
Sing.
They're cringe, not me. And yeah, I don't know. I try really hard actually not to call things cringe because that is implanting. I find I'm more worried about being judged when I'm judging other people. So it's like you know what I mean?
Yes, but also
it's so fun to judge.
We're all on our high horses here being like, I never call anything cringe. We call things cringe all the time.
Well, we did just call the heated rivalry Golden Globe thing cringe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was a little...
When you go to a really reform synagogue and...
Yeah. Oh. When
and there's a rabbi with a guitar.
Played... Sorry about Ikar. I love Ikar. Coldplay on Yom Kippur. Fix You by Coldplay on Yom Kippur. It killed me.
And like, can we analyze like what was going on? What was going on for you there? Why did it kill you?
I mean, I think it was
What
like
did
the
they
little
sing? Which one did they
"Fix
sing?
You" by Coldplay.
Fix You. That's ironic.
Yeah.
This Yom Kippur?
No, I think it was maybe two or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and I didn't go back for Yom Kippur.
They love a Coldplay.
And I love Ikar, and I'm not. I love Sharon Rabbi Brous. Like I think she's incredible, and I don't want to like whatever. But the "Fix You" thing has to stop. But I also get that like it, and we had a long conversation about how it like brings in Jews who don't really know any of the Hebrew prayers, and then they can feel like connected to it, which is really beautiful. Why did I think it was like the little yeshiva kid in me that was like, this isn't right. You know, like it doesn't feel. It just you're not supposed to sing. It's a holy day. It's like for God.
But
you're singing
difference
godly.
there.
You're saying godly words, and now you're saying Coldplay.
But there's a difference there, right? There's a difference there between I don't think this fits here and cringe. Right? I think, right, for me, right?
Oh, I think it was both in this situation.
Right,
but they can both be happening.
They can both be happening, for sure.
I don't think this fits here is a great feeling to have. And also, when you really get deep into Judaism, is hard to justify.
For sure.
You know,
but
like,
What do you think about "Fix You" by Coldplay at Yom Kippur?
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm all for the music, right? So, like, in that sense, you know, every Friday we at Beit T'shuvah have a full rock and roll band. So we, you know, we just this last past Shabbat we did I Feel Free by Cream, because I was talking about leaving Egypt, right? So we have so like for sure, you know. But I'm a very non-traditionalist shul, like, right? Sort of like my Shabbat is if rock and roll, AA, and Shabbat had a really fun night together, the baby would be our service, right? So, right, I don't try to be so traditionalist like Ikar. And again, respect to Rabbi Brous, even though we have many differences in our theologies. Yeah. But in that sense, sort of like, that made me feel a little cringe, because like you're this like the traditional sort of thing who now wants to be like, but we're gonna be cool, we're gonna do Coldplay. Sort of like, but what if we do Coldplay instead of like a Mizmor? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Also at Simchat Torah, they did at Hakafot, they did
Drop the Torah.
They dropped the Torah.
And then
I wasn't there for that.
And then low key pretended it didn't really happen.
that was on Simchat Torah. No, wasn't that on Rosh Hashanah?
It was Rosh Hashanah. You're right. Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, I'm just gonna say
Rosh Hashanah.
I'm a member of Ikar. Sharon, baby, love you, girl.
Come on the pod.
Let's continue. Okay.
Yeah. But you know,
Come on the pod. We love.
Do you think she would come on the pod?
Me?
no, like it's an Orthodox kid, right? Like I was like. Like, right? Because it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. But
I heard that they didn't pretend that it didn't happen. They
I'm exaggerating. I'm exaggerating. For the record, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah. They just they had 50 people fast.
Hi Yentas, this is Antonia here from the future to tell you about this episode's sponsor, the Mandel Cultural Leadership Program, which is currently accepting applications for its second cohort. I was in the first cohort, which is why they wanted me to tell you about it. It's a fellowship for artists from any discipline who are either Jewish or making work about Jewish culture. And honestly, when I tell you it's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, it really is, and you should actually think about applying. It's a 2-year fellowship where they give you a $40,000 stipend and they get you a personal advisor from your field. They schlep you all over the world. They introduce you to great artists. When I tell you it's as good as it sounds, it literally is. Applications close February 13th, so go to mandelinstitute.org for more information. And remember, this is for artists from all disciplines, as long as you're cute. They told me I had to say that. They were like, they have to be cute. And I was like, don't worry. They listen to Yenta. They're already cute. So thank you to Mandel for sponsoring this episode, and let's get back to the goss.
Look, the sad thing is sort of like I actually happen to know the person who tripped over the wire and dropped the Torah, and he could not be the nicest person in the world. I mean, really, he's great. No, in Jewish tradition, moments like that are moments of great tshuva. Right? Yeah. Moments like that are moments of great tshuva, where the congregation needs to repentance. Well, I'll explain tshuva in a second, but like what my tshuva is, but like in those moments, like especially if you're in an Orthodox shul, it's not 50 people. It's like the whole congregation fasts for 40 days, sort of like right, not fully, right, from sunrise to sundown, right. But it is a moment where God basically says, you need to look at yourself. That there's a moment that says something's wrong, something's afoot.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I thought fix it could be funny. But like, right, like that. Those are moments of things, and
But it's like a deep sign that something is seriously wrong.
That's right.
With the congregation.
That's right.
I love that. And
That's
honestly,
right.
I feel like the feeling of cringe is the same
That's right.
sign.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, tell me more.
When you encounter the feeling of cringe within yourself,
Oh, it's a sign.
Something's
To
wrong.
look
you
inward.
have to.
something's wrong.
Yeah.
You have to do tshuva. So again, sort of like, right, respect for the congregation and all that. But look, tshuva, right? Tshuva in Judaism has 3 meanings in Hebrew. The first one is the repentance, right? That's usually how we translate tshuva. Great. But the second one, a tshuva, is an answer. Is in she'elah and tshuva. Question, tshuva, and answer. And the third one, coming from the root, is to return to a higher self, to return home, to return all that. So in that sense, in my articulation of tshuva is reflect or repent, right? Respond, right? As opposed to react. I'll talk about it in a second. But like, right, and return. The response part, and that for me is the most important thing, because so many times, right, and I do a lot of work with people in addiction, right? That's what Beit T'shuvah is. We're a long-term recovery community and rehab. It's also a congregation. It's the only one in the world. So most of us will have a feeling, maybe cringe, maybe awkward, whatever, and then we will react. Right? We'll go directly to where we always go. Drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, our phone, food, right? How many times have we opened the fridge hoping some miraculous cake has shown up, right? And thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, right?
But it does help everything.
Yeah, we react, right? And part of spirituality, real tshuva says, well, what if you respond instead of if you react? What if you ask yourself, what am I actually feeling? What is that cringe? What is this thing? Can I actually then respond to it? Can I put some space between my trigger, right? My stimulus and my actual response, my tshuva. If the question is, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way, right? Do you feel you don't belong? Do you feel you don't know enough Judaism? Do you feel that you don't know how to sing? Do you fear that people will look at you, that people will judge you? That has a different answer than a reaction.
Yeah.
Right? And I think for so many of us, cringe is a reaction because it separates us. To be like, oh, I'm not them. Like, oh, that's stupid.
Right.
Like, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of asking like, can I actually respond in a way? So if you really think about it, right, it can be an opportunity for reflect, respond, and then you can return to a higher self. You can become a better version of yourself.
I love this.
Me too.
I did a video over the high holidays because I love how on the high holidays every rabbi is like gets really excited to be like, actually, tshuva does not mean repent. It means return. And I did a video of a rabbi being like, actually, this year I think it could mean repent because you've been pretty mean to me.
That's right.
And I posted that video and I got so many emails.
Really?
How do they find your email?
It's signed up on the website from rabbis being like, thank you so much for saying something because
yeah. Look,
Because my community sucks.
like one of the but one of the challenges is
Rabbi
like
Iggy.
exactly like shut up. One of the challenges of being a rabbi in high holidays and in general is that people constantly expect you to sort of say interesting, more new things, but there is a sort of like you can't always be just creative all the time, right? Like sometimes it's just you have to repeat yourself, right? Sort of like but no,
Repeat.
return, respond, and respond
and repeat it over.
That's right.
Over.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what. Yeah, I mean, look, we were talking before about discipline, right? About duty, and one of the amazing things, right, working with people who want to change, is this idea, right, which is, I ask a lot of the people around me and clients are like, what is the fruit of discipline? What is the fruit of discipline? Why discipline? Yes, okay, so you can go to the gym or you can have a better diet, whatever. But what is the actual spiritual fruit of discipline? And the answer, I think, would surprise you because it's really rather remarkable. The fruit of discipline is self-worth. the ability to
Yeah.
promise yourself something, to say no to yourself, the ability to decide on something and then actually do follow through.
Yeah.
That's what gives you real self-worth. And when I work with a lot of people who feel have no self-worth or have no self-worth, and that part is really the most incredible part of my job, to try and help people actually be a better version of them, return to a higher self of them, right? Which is why I call Beit T'shuvah, the house of Tshuva, right? Because when you do that, all of a sudden you can feel yourself, right? You can sort of like, right?
Yeah.
In Hebrew we say af al atzmo, right? Flies on himself, like sort of like, oh, he's feeling himself, right? So like he's flying on himself. So, but that, and again, I think all these moments where we talk about whether it is the cringe or whatever are all, and we talk about the blessings or like, can you build yourself a life that has moments of reflection where you don't just react, you don't just do the next thing? Can you find a response to that feeling of awkwardness or cringe or whatever? And even the other ones, the anger, the frustration, right? There's so much pain in the world at the moment, right? And instead of raising your fist in rage of like, okay, what can I do about it, right? What is the action I can do that's related to what I'm feeling?
This also just feels so AA.
Yeah,
The
of
gap
course.
between the feeling
That's right.
and the action and lengthening that gap.
It's AA, it's Viktor Frankl, it's like it's everyone, right? It's sort of I didn't invent
mindfulness.
this. It's mindfulness in its purest form, and it's again, and it's at the end of the day, it's also a sense of, one of my big soapboxes, which I'm so. I'm angry about, because we really in the Western culture, and it relates to the queerness conversation before we had, is about what I call American particularism. Right? Sort of like every one of us like, well, I don't do that. I do this. I don't this kind of yoga. I don't eat that. I do this. Like, sort of like, right? I am this is my pronoun about this, and this is my thing about that. And you have to respect this particular thing and this particular thing. Instead of like, can I find something that actually makes us all part of the human condition rather than separate myself constantly? Because if I'm not this and I'm not this and I'm not him and I'm not that, and then I was like, but why am I feel so alone? Well, because you just fucking separated yourself from the entire thing. Right? So this particularism, right, which I don't think helps us. And I think part of Judaism, which can be cringe, is like, yeah, but you're like everybody else. Why don't you just sing, put on a kippah, do this, right? Why don't we eat this? Like, right, there's a certain element of like, yes, but right now, we bless.
Let me add some tension to that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Because I'm with you that impulse taken to the extreme that it's taken to is so unhelpful.
Right.
But I don't think we should get rid of that entire impulse.
No,
because
of course.
it has seeds of wisdom.
It does.
Which is that when you're part of a big group and you feel different,
Right.
and no one is able to help you articulate why you feel different.
Right.
The first time you're able to articulate it,
Right.
and understand just a little bit more of your uniqueness is like a hugely self-affirming experience.
100%. 100%.
Thank God, Antonia, you're amazing. I like in my head, I was like, how can I say that? But then you just said it so perfectly.
Yes.
So,
That's why you have the podcast, and I'm just the guest.
So that's to say, yes,
Yes, and
that impulse has been taken
It's-
to an extreme.
but anything
that
taken
then
to an
alienates you.
extreme
But anything taken to an extreme
is
will
shitty.
alienate you.
Yeah, well,
So here's what I'm
So-
suggesting, right? What I'm saying, like, yes, you're 100% correct, right? Again, as a gay boy who had to find himself, right? There is that, but there has to be on top of that, or with that, with that also, and how am I just like everybody else? Right? There has
Yes.
to be,
Yes,
right?
there
There
has
has
to
to
be
be,
the
there has to be a balance,
Absolutely.
right? And if your perspective is always how am I different, then yeah, you'll always find it, right?
Yeah.
Our brain is
Absolutely.
constantly answering the question we ask it, right? That's what our brain does, right? We ask questions of ourselves, and the brain finds evidence, which is why if you keep saying to yourself like, ugh, why am I so ugly? Why am I so fat? Why am I so tall? Why am I so skinny? Why am I so poor? The brain will find a reason because you did this and because you did that, and nobody likes you and blah, 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 and all these things. But if you start asking your brain a different kind of question, how am I great? How am I amazing? How am I loving? How am I? Then the brain will start actually finding those answers. And a lot of my clients, I make them put this on Post-its on their mirror to sort of start changing the question. So yes, I think the first time that you find out how you are maybe slightly different than somebody else, it's very affirming and it's very important, right? And with that also, and how am I like everybody else? Because guess what? Everybody feels different. Everybody has social anxiety. Everyone, right? Nobody walks in a room, unless you're a sociopath, but nobody walks in a room thinking like me.
Right. Oh no, a lot of people do that in LA.
But I think they're pretending, right? It's a pose.
Worried about themselves.
That's right, but it's a pose, right? They know in Judaism, right? We have this amazing story of the 2 notes, which I'm sure a lot of people know, right?
Yes.
Where Rabbi Boning Shescha.
This is the story I told at my tish.
Right, exactly. With the 2 notes, right? And amazing tish. The rabbi was amazing.
And and this leader.
That's right. The leader of the tish was amazing. It was incredibly an amazing tish. In fact, right, one of my favorite moments after the tish is like when you said, and I so understood that, like that you finally got the sweaty, right,
yeshiva boy
tish of your dreams, right? And I was like, oh, I know exactly how, not just what it is, I know how it smells like, I know how it tastes like.
Well, you got it. You actually got to experience it.
Right.
So how was it compared?
It was great.
The real,
it was great.
The not real, but
but it is real. That's the thing. It's great, right? It is exactly. You know, it's not the same because nothing is the same, but that's what it is, right? And in that sense, some people might look at it and be like, ooh, cringe. But like, right?
That whole tish was cringe.
Right? So that enthusiasm, that devotion, right? That sense of spirituality.
Caring about anything is cringe, amazing. Because caring about anything is you're opening yourself up to being vulnerable, then you're being judged.
So but back to the notes, right? One note should say the world was created for me, right? Avuri nivra olam, and the other note should say Anochi afar va'efer, I'm nothing but dust and ashes, right? And you're supposed to have those 2 pockets, each in pocket, and when you feel too haughty, you have to take out, like you're dust and ashes like everybody else. And when you feel like lowly, woe is me, the world was created for you, right? And I think in that sense, yes, because if we constantly go to particularism, we'll lose that I'm like everybody else. And if we constantly go to like, but I'm nothing like everybody else, you lose the specialness of your existence. And I do believe, again, that sort of Judaism and spirituality gives an answer here. It says, like, can you have both perspectives in your hand? Can you hold those 2 notes in your hand? If you can't, then it's great. But if you veer off too much, too bad,
It's good shit. This is why.
This is why we had
exactly. Exactly. When I'm, sitting there with Johnny Depp and sort of
Johnny Depp loves this Torah.
He loves this Torah.
Famously a really emotionally balanced guy.
Yes. Very interesting guy though. Very, very,
wait, I want to get to gossip.
Gossip.
What gossip
gossip.
do you have for us, Rabbi Iggy?
Like, you asked me this
before. No, you texted me. You had good gossip.
I have good gossip. You asked me this before. Like,
look, our definition of gossip is a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Oh, I went directly to the dark side. I was like, that person said this and she's an idiot. Like that was thing.
And it's not Lashon Hara because the rabbi is doing it.
It's not Lashon Hara. It's not Lashon Hara. It's rechilut. It happened, right? It's not.
Exactly.
Making distinction. In fact, right, in Judaism there is Lashon Hara, right, like the evil speech, right, and then there is rechilut, which is sort of like, right, the gossip. But we also have this very special category called avak Lashon Hara. Do you know about this?
No.
So avak means dust. So it's the dust of Lashon Hara. So it's sort of like, hey, did you hear about so and so? And you're like, no. It's like, you know what? I don't want to gossip. I shouldn't tell you about, it's very unfortunate, but I'm not going to say anything. Right? Sort of like,
but then proceeds to tell you everything.
No.
You don't say it.
It's avak. It's a dust.
Oh, I see. It's you know something's up
with Lashon Hara. But
I
it's
like that.
Right? You
perfumed
just you walk
with Lashon Hara.
You walk the line.
You're so close. I love it.
Yeah. No. Like, I guess my gossip part is sort of like, there's a certain actress, right, who, and this is my cringe, was like when people say, especially with everything going on in the world, like, as a Jew,
Yeah.
Right? As a Jew. And you stand up in front of the microphones as a Jew. And
What did she say?
Because she was all about pro-Palestine and Israel and thing and whatever. By the way, she and all the others are saying nothing about Iran, which is amazing. But, we'll put that aside for a second. Right? And I'm like, I met you. I know you. You're not smart. Sorry. You're just not intelligent enough to say anything as a Jew. So no,
and you're not really Jew because you're not smart.
You're not smart.
Well, that's but
and Jews are smart.
Listen,
so you don't even get.
Listen, nipple baby.
Hold it, but we have to
No.
have both. We have to have smart Jews and idiots.
Can I guess who it is?
Afterwards.
After.
But afterwards. But
'Cause then that's really Lashon Hara.
But sort of like it's proper.
Did you
Lashon
hear you're
Hara.
allowed to say Lashon Hara if you don't say who it is?
Well, I think I just did, but no.
But you didn't say who it was.
Oh no, I'm not saying who it is.
Yeah.
It's just But yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you after.
You know what? Is she? How Jewish affiliated is she? Because if you say for
nothing,
me,
that's the thing. Nothing.
You can't say as a Jew if you've never been to synagogue.
And again,
or if
you don't know much. I know you.
Of course you can. We can't be such assholes.
No.
You can, but then we're allowed to judge you.
You can say whatever you want. You can say literally whatever you want.
I'm just saying, if you're going to use as a Jew to say something especially whatever that would upset a lot of Jews, you have to be in it.
Right.
I have to.
Be
for
honest
me,
about it. Qualify it. Be like, as someone who feels deeply Jewish but has absolutely zero Jewish community connection.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had the education and I feel uncomfortable in those spaces, but I still feel it. This is how I feel.
And I will add, ignorant, uneducated. You're right. Sort of like in this particular case, right? Sort of like I'm sorry. I know your knowledge base because I've spent time with you, and you could say whatever you want. I respect your right, but when you say as a Jew, sorry, Rabbi here, shut up. Yeah. You can say whatever you want about things, even about Judaism, but don't start with as a Jew, because that is. Here's the thing. The serious thing about it. That is. It's dishonest. Yes, you are a Jew, and yes, you can speak as a Jew 100%. I will never take that away from you, not my power. But it's dishonest because you're using something that you have not spent enough time to actually invest in, to be known as, and then you decide to be a speaker for that. No.
You know what
Sit
it's
down.
well, tell me what you think about this as a comparison. It would be like if I was as a personal trainer, but I've worked out 4 times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, now we're getting real deep into it, because what we're talking about in relationship to Israel, right? And so
Sure.
So
but I
to
feel
politics,
well,
but
there's a big thing happening in the Israel conversation, which is that the state of Israel is saying we need to exist for the safety of all Jews, including those Jews like this person who doesn't know anything.
Correct.
And they are leveraging people like her to justify the things they do.
Well, that's not okay.
That's into the opposite.
And
she's
So she's doing a similar thing.
Right.
And I
so
think,
she's using a shitty tactic.
Yeah, and I think both tactics are really shitty and dishonest.
Yeah.
Right.
But I understand why she's speaking up, because that's a reasonable reaction to someone using you as a false flag, is to stand up and say, well, if you're using me to justify your actions, here's what I think.
Again,
so I do think that's reasonable.
I understand that.
And I'm with you. That I think
I understand. I understand
cringe.
that. But much like we said before, then being clear about that.
Yes.
Right.
Then don't use your little ball pulpit, right, on some stage, right? So, right? Be clear about that. If you want to be nuanced, be nuanced.
Yes.
But don't pretend things, because you've never spoken about anything else as a Jew, and all of a sudden you choose this cause. Again, and this is a personal choice. I will never ever, right? I hope, but I will never ever stand and say as a Jew. I'll never stand and say as a gay person.
Yeah.
I'll never. I won't do that as a man. As a man, let me it's just because I don't want my voice, right? Which I think nobody should have to speak for a large thing, because again, when you lump yourself in things like in large groups, you really invite. Like we talked before about not being seen, you invite this sort of unseenness. I know that's not a word, but like, and I'm not into that. Like, it's not when people say like, you Jews, you queers, you gays, you women. Oh, immediately I'm off. Immediately I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows a lack of education about your community.
That's right.
If you think you can speak for them.
That's right.
And so I'm completely with you. But then there's this problem, which is like, there are millions of Jews and only a tiny subset of them are actually educated about Judaism.
Right.
And so it's like, we can't erase the voices of the Jews who haven't been educated.
It's not
through no fault of their own.
It's not even
But
about
also-
being educated.
So it's like, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they should be able to speak on behalf of Jews, because I'm saying that it's ridiculous to think that anyone can speak on behalf of all Jews. We have to find a way to help people like that understand where they fit in the bigger community and be able to articulate that when they are speaking on a bigger platform.
Again, I don't want to erase anyone. I don't want to erase those voices. Voices of Jews who are uneducated are very creative because they think of something different.
Yeah.
I invite everybody into that conversation, but I invite everybody into that conversation with the humility.
Yeah.
With the humility.
Know your place.
With the humility. It's not even your place, right? Humility for me is being right, is being right-sized.
No.
Right? With
Yeah,
the
you're right.
humility
You should
to
be humble,
To
'cause you-
say,
yeah.
I have an opinion. I'm thinking. I want right.
But I
mean,
know
like,
there's so much I don't know.
I don't know. And look,
And it ain't just a Jewish thing; it's everybody.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Everybody wants to be a spokesperson
That's right.
who's both the most knowledgeable and the most
Sit
morally
down.
indignant.
That's right. Sit down.
And I feel that with Iran stuff too, because people like me DM me like, why aren't you talking about Iran? And I'm like, I feel like I don't know enough. I'm not like smart enough, or I am smart enough, but I don't know enough.
You're plenty smart.
Yeah. I'm not like educated enough on this issue. Even with like a Persian partner,
Right.
I feel like I don't.
Also, I don't want to.
But so
How about I don't want to?
yeah, and also I don't want to. The tension between like I want to talk about it because it is an issue that is really important, and also not knowing enough to post about it.
Yeah.
And also posting is so stupid and does nothing.
Again, for sure. Look, stepping aside from my own self, right? To say sort of like, okay, Iggy, if you really are in need of a celebrity to like say the things you need to say, something's wrong for sure. So I'm aware of that. But yes, and also again, I don't want to. Maybe I am knowledgeable enough to think, but maybe it is too close to home. Maybe I don't want to say something about this, right? Like this again, this performative element of all of it is so. It really is disturbing. I really believe in a both and. I mean, that's really something that's really important to me. In that and that is where the sort of we talk about sort of queerness. I don't know, but like the gayness of me is that I have an ampersand on the original ampersand on my body because the both and is so much more important to me, right? The non-binary is the entirety of this world, right? The sort of that if I learned anything from my own gayness is that sort of like it is a both and. There's multiple parts of it, right?
Being gay and Jewish.
Being gay Jewish,
Is
being
it a
gay
both
and a
and?
man, being sort of being a rabbi and also a sinner, being being like even being like a father and a partner, a friend, like all these things are these constant tensions again that allow me to be both and, right? I hope I'm a great father, but I also know that sometimes I'm a shitty father, right? right? I've made mistakes with my children, as everybody has. But also even for the world, the fact is sort of that I'm a gay rabbi. I have tattoos, right? I'm not your typical rabbi, the sort of, right? Not your rabbi, right? Right. I'm an immigrant here, right? I have an accent, right? But I also have 2 adult children who are adopted, who are both Asian, right? Sort of like in that sort of like hyphenated identity that I live in. For a lot of people, be like, wait, what? Right? Because every time I speak, somebody assumes and then they find out something else. I'm like, and it's really, it's a very interesting thing. I have in the congregation on Friday night and Shabbat, right? There's no politics. I refuse to have any kind of social commentary politics on anything, right? And at the beginning when sort of the war was happening and things like where people were like, but you have to say this and you have to say that and why, right? You're a rabbi and then like, right, as a Jew, right? Like you have to say things. And I was like, no, I want to create a space that is spiritual respite. I want a place where sort of you can charge your soul, right? And be among people again where you belong, right? We say on Yom Kippur when we invite the avaryanim, we invite the delinquents, if you will. That's a Shabbat for me, right? When everybody comes in, whether you're a drinker or a con artist or whether you are a yeshiva boy or whatever it is, to come there. And now, right, like a long time after, I have these congregations and say like, okay, I get it now. Right? So like this is where I come to charge my battery, right? You can have doom scroll about anything else, but again, my role as a rabbi, I had a very traumatic childhood. For all sorts of different reasons. That's for a different podcast. And eventually I was really running away from it. We're talking about, I was running away from it. I didn't want that. I didn't want my family. I didn't want my life. Growing up Orthodoxy, I was like, this is awful. I hate this. This is stupid. I don't want any religion. Give me shrimp. Give me lobster. Right? So like the more bacon the possible. Although like I didn't grow up with it. So like, I don't like it. But like, right? Also like, cheese on a burger. I'm like, why would you ruin a perfectly good burger? But that's for a side.
Fair.
But like, and then I was running away and eventually I found myself in India and there was a moment there and I was sort of like doing some sort of internal work and I was sort of like observing myself as a child and the kind of decisions I'm making. And there was a moment that crept in and it was like, well, what if you had a rabbi like you? And I'm like, shit.
Wow.
Shit. Because that was the moment I was like, I have to be the rabbi that I wish I had as a child. And that's and I feel that responsibility every day, all the time. And parts of me loves it and parts of me hate it, right? Parts of me is like, let me go. Let me go. But that's so that's again, to come back to the part of that conversation is sort of like I'm well credentialed to speak for blah blah blah. I don't want to, right? I want to speak to us, for us. I want to be face to face with the people who are really struggling with everything, and to see yourself in others. That's really what this is all about, and the rest, like just sit down. Just sit down. Just sit down.
Thank you, Rabbi Iggy, for being on the pod.
Anytime.
This was a good
so
conversation.
beautiful.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're wise, you're hot. You're
Say more. People like say less. No, say more.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap up now, but this was really amazing. Do you have anything to plug now, or where can the people find you?
So you can find me, Not Your Rabbi, on social media. My biggest plug is if you're in LA or in the LA basin, Beit T'shuvah, right? Friday night, 6:30. Again, it's a phenomenal service. I'd love to have as many people as possible to be part of this amazing community that we're building. We have everything. We have Talmud study. We have, high holidays, Passover, a big communal Seder. We have the high, all the things we're doing. So that's really what I'm really plugging. Are you
there every week?
I'm there every week.
Wow.
Almost every week. I take a month off. But
okay.
But I'm there.
Because I want to go.
Yeah, come. I'm there every week.
But I want to make sure. Is it on the calendar? I'll text you.
Yeah, you can text me.
Okay.
But that's really what I'm plugging. And really what I'm really plugging, find a community.
Yeah. that's
Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be mine.
Like a Yenta community.
Right, in a community. But find a
Yenta,
community.
Patreon.com/Yenta.
That's right.
Big community over
That's
there.
right.
You
Find
just-
something to support.
it's like a
Take an
shul.
action.
It's like a
Yeah.
synagogue. You
it's a
can pay
community.
your
And
dues
find
There you
a
go.
real life one too.
and a real life one
but
too.
go to our Patreon. But
Yes.
a real life one is
It's a both and. Again,
Yeah,
it's a both
both
and.
They're both ends.
Both end.
And if you've made it to the end of this episode, honestly, you'd love the Patreon. So go there, patreon.com/Yenta. That's where you'll find Yenta matchmaking, unreleased episodes, a lot of great stuff.
Yes, and it really helps us in the pod, and it means a lot to us. So thank you for all the patrons that are already there.